Story 1. Aita for telling my in-laws exactly where my husband was when I was in labor. I gave birth to my son 10 weeks ago. I went through exhausting period while I was nearing my due date. I was experiencing discomfort and wanted my husband by my side when I go into labor, but he'd go out every night to hang out at his friend's place and watch football games. I suggested that he watch games at home just in case, but he was having none of it and said he had to attend game night at his brother and friend's place along with his buddies. He said they had certain, how can I describe it, rituals when watching a game, and he can't enjoy doing it at home or anywhere else. The night of our son's birth, my water broke while my husband was at his buddy's place watching a game. I called him and told him to get home and take me to the hospital. He said he was coming, but he didn't. I ended up calling my sister and she took me to the hospital. My husband showed up 2 hours later after he kept calling asking if I was still in labor and that he was almost done watching the game. He was able to make it on time for our son's birth, but I was furious with him, mad and disappointed. He apologized profoundly and has been working on regaining my trust and respect for him after what he's done. He's otherwise very supportive and involved in our son's care. Last night I was at my in-laws' house for dinner, and we were talking about my son's birth date. My husband suddenly started recalling what happened that night, and basically started lying about driving me to the hospital, waiting and feeling stressed out and standing on his feet for so long without food or even water. I was confused. I said no, none of this was true. None of this happened. In fact, he was watching a game when I went into labor and I wanted him to drive me to the hospital but didn't show up till 2 hours later. My mother-in-law, who takes no shit from anybody and whom everyone fears, lost it on him, yelling asking him if that was true, and he kept quiet. She started berating him left and right, telling him to sit down and shut up when he stood up to argue, then told him to stand up when he was sitting arguing. Everyone was laughing at how she basically treated him as if he was a boy in trouble. She kept saying, shame, shame, shame on you. This is not how I raised my children to treat their wives. Jordan, you are a disgrace and I'm disappointed because of what I heard about you. He literally swallowed every bit of his mother's berating and didn't say anything till we got home, where he went nuts saying I made him look neglectful, a bad husband and father, by telling the family about where he was, and said I shouldn't have said anything, but I argued it wasn't okay for him to lie and play hero in front of his parents. He said I just caused a rift between him and family and asked if I was happy now. Aita, should I have not said anything? Edit to say that he's done similar things in the past since he's a major enthusiast of football and hockey, but I didn't expect it to get to that. Also, this is not our first baby together. We have a 4-year-old son. Story 2. Aita for cutting visit short after my sister woke me up from nap so I won't stay in house alone with her husband. My sister has been inviting me to visit her ever since she got married and settled. I finally have some stability with my job now and took my 3-week vacation. When I just got there, I was really tired and just wanted to sleep, but my sister said she needed to get some groceries, and since her husband is a Muslim and wouldn't want to stay home alone with a stranger woman, I had to go with her. I was like, okay, your house, your rules, and I've been going out with her whenever she went out the past 2 weeks. The conflict is that I was taking a nap, like a really needed nap, and my sister woke me up saying that she needed to pick up nephew from daycare. I was confused and told her that would literally take her 5 minutes because it's right next door, and she insisted that I needed to go with her. I was cranky from being woken up and yelled at her what her deal was and that there's no way this is just about her husband being a Muslim or whatever. I told her she either didn't trust her husband or didn't trust me to an unhealthy degree, and she shouldn't have invited me over in either case. She said to keep my voice down and whether I wanted her husband to hear us on purpose, and I told her don't worry, your husband won't get to hear or see me because I'm going fucking home. She started to apologize at that point and said she was stuck between a rock and a hard place, but I was really upset and packed up and got on the train. Now that I've calmed down a little, I feel like I might have overreacted, and she was honest since day one about no staying home alone with her husband, no matter why she set that rule. Ugh, this sucks. Aita. Story 3. Aita for telling my wife that she is the mediocre one. My wife and I are both highly educated people. We both have doctorates and several master's degrees, as well as being successful in our professional lives. We also have a son, Caleb, who is our pride and joy. Throughout Caleb's life, my wife and I have had some disagreements about parenting. I'm someone who values my son being a well-rounded person, and my wife is someone who values grades and discipline. It has taken us a long time to find a balance between what me and my wife want. Caleb is in his first semester of law school. One of the requirements to graduate is to certify that you know the English language. Since Caleb already has a certification, he decided to pick up German as a 4th language. I advised him to maybe wait to 3rd semester to start learning German, just to give himself time to get used to how university works, and also because he has history of pressuring himself a lot when studying. Caleb was adamant on starting now, so I didn't push the issue forward. He just finished his 2nd evaluation, and he's not doing as well as he expected. He's doing, in my opinion, fine, 9 out of 10 in his first test and 8 out of 10 in his second one, but he is very upset with himself. I tried to console him, and told him that if he wanted to, we could look for some private tutoring, and I also reassured him that, for someone who has never spoken an ounce of German, he is doing amazing. My wife, on the other hand, is furious with Caleb. She told him that his grades are unacceptable, and to start putting in more effort on his education. Caleb got even more upset, and started crying. She tried to ground him for 2 weeks with no outings, but I didn't let her do so. So now she is mad with me. She says that my weak parenting is allowing our son to be mediocre, and that she didn't raise Caleb to be average. I got mad, because our son is nor average nor mediocre, so I asked her how many languages she speaks. My wife answers one, so I tell her that she really doesn't have a say on this particular issue, since out of the 3 of us, she is most likely the mediocre one in that department. She got even more furious, so now I'm sleeping on the couch until further notice. I think I really messed up here, but I got very mad with her for making our son cry, so I couldn't keep quiet. Story 4. Aita for volunteering my boyfriend and his truck to help my brother and his wife move. My boyfriend of over 2 years owns a newer, full-size truck. I think he sinks way too much of his income into it and should probably just drive a regular car, since he just drives it back and forth to work and to do errands. But he loves it and it's his baby. My older brother and his wife recently bought a house and are moving out of their apartment. I was at my parents' house with the 2 of them when they announced it to us. When I asked them when they were moving and they told me, I told them, well, he has his truck, which I'm sure will come in handy. I'll have to ask him, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind you using it and helping you out. They told me that this would be great. When I told my boyfriend about it, though, to say that he started grumbling would be an understatement. He started going on about how he didn't want to give up his salary to help my brother and his wife move, and how he didn't want to put that wear and tear on his truck. He said that people moving stuff in and out of his truck bed was likely to put scratches on it, and how I shouldn't have volunteered him in his truck without talking to me first. I told him that I told them that I'd have to ask him first, and that it was ultimately up to him. He responded that there was no way for him to say no to it without looking like an asshole to my family, so I pretty much made it so that he had no real choice. I think he's being kind of a baby, honestly, and should just be happy to help. My brother actually helped my boyfriend get his current job, so my boyfriend kind of owes him one. But maybe I was a little presumptuous. What do you think?